Jump in. Before we start the focus on the diagnosis series, what we want to do is make sure we are ready and prepared so that when we get to that series, we have our ducks in a row. We are functioning at peak capacity from a business standpoint. We are an efficient business men and women. And so what we want to do is take the next 3 weeks and really what we're calling target your success. Are you utilizing all your skills? I think at one time I saw this, Oprah did a talk on cute as you can be. And she was talking about not necessarily how cute someone is, but do they maximize all their gifts and their talents? And I don't even know, that's probably not even making any sense. But what I'm saying is we don't have to be like these superstars in business to be highly successful. It's the tools and systems and consistency that makes somebody good. We could have somebody who maybe naturally has all these talents and abilities, but if they aren't using systems and tools and they're not consistent, they're not going to have success. So if we utilize the skills and develop our skills, we are going to master this business. And so that's where we want to kind of hone in and target on each of our individual success and utilizing these tools and systems that we have. Okay, so put your thinking caps on. I'm going to ask you 3 questions. What's the goal? Why are we even doing this business? What is the goal? So the goal is to find a need and then educate people on what Juice Plus has to offer them. Womb to tomb, as Dr. Bill Sears says, everybody needs Juice Plus. But guess what? Everyone doesn't know they need Juice Plus. So we have to find why do they need Juice Plus? And we have to highlight that, bring it to the surface and have those conversations so that then once we find the need, we can then approach them with Juice Plus based on their need versus just spouting out a bunch of information. And like we're talking about this next series, after we finish this one, focus on the diagnosis is one, finding out the need, and then we know where to get all the material, all the tools that we need to help address that. So let me ask this question. Did you know of the top earners in our industry, 90% of their team did not know them before they joined the business? Let me repeat that. Of the top earners in our industry, 90% of their team, they did not know before joining the business. So I want to know, I'm going to just stop share right now, and we'll come back to this. I'm looking at all the names on this screen, and I did not know none of you prior to Juice Plus. If it were not for Juice Plus, I wouldn't know anybody who's on this chat today. Think about that. So if that's the case, you know what that tells me? Because even I fall into this thought process of, well, if someone has this huge network already coming to the plate with a huge network, then they're going to have an advantage. But I step back and look at this and say, but I didn't know any of you. None of you were in my network. So let's think about that for a minute. We're all on a level playing ground. So don't believe the lie that, well, I don't know as many people. That's not a truth. So let's really look at this in the light that it is a skill that we are developing in the process of learning to connect, and what I want to say, collect friends. And so I'm sorry, I had to stop for a minute and look at that really quick and validate exactly. Okay, I hate it when it does this. Stop
So,
share.
Elaine, while you're figuring that out, can I just say
Please.
something that I'm thinking, because I do know a lot of my team, and so what it is making me question is, am I asking for referrals enough? You know what I'm saying? Or getting out of my just sphere of close influence.
And we're going to talk about that as soon as I find where my presentation went. I hate it when it does this. Okay, we're going to go to our tech expert, Mara. Do you know what I'm talking about when it disappears? Like do you know what I'm talking about?
A little bit, but you're on a Mac, right?
I am. You know what? I found it. It's not where I wanted to go, but anyway, it's fine.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay. Sorry, folks, got myself distracted there. So back to thank you, Aaron, because exactly what you're sharing is what we want to talk about today. So number one, our goal is to educate people and help them on this journey, their health journey. I think we all agree that's a simple goal, but that's what we're here for. We're all kind of starting on the same playing field in that truthfully, we've got to go out there and find the people to build these businesses. And then the third part of this kind of questioning ourselves, kind of reflecting, I want you to ask yourself a question. Are you willing to commit? So what I've learned, I listened to an Eric Worre. So if this sounds familiar, I listened to one of his messages over the weekend, and he talked about successful people in this industry commit to connecting with 2 new people every single day. So I want you to ask yourself, if I know what the goal is, and I think everybody on here is pretty passionate about Juice Plus, and I would say everyone believes that's on this call, Juice Plus can help everyone, and everyone needs Juice Plus. Check. Did we know? I just proved what Eric Worre said, that 90% of the people who are making 7 figures a year, they didn't know 90% of the people on their team. And I just kind of went back and double checked his by looking at who was on this call. So those first 2 questions we've kind of nailed down as truths. The last one, I think, is the variable. Are we willing to commit? And I even had to kind of look within myself and say, where do I need to improve? And I can tell you, it's back to this very thing. I can spend all week long, day in and day out, talking to you guys, talking to my customers. Why? Because those 2 things are easy. I know those people. I know you. I know my customers. So I'm going to naturally default to those 2 areas of my business. But is this really going to help me be more successful? Well, yes, I always want to talk to y'all. I always want to talk to my customers. Those are good things, but not to the expense that I am not doing what he says successful people in this industry do. And that's talk to 2 new people every single day. And I will confess, if this is a confessional, I don't do that. And I made up my mind that that is something I'm going to change. I am going to lead by example. And before the end of the day, I'm going to do that. And I'm going to tell you a story. I'm going to let Brenda tell you a story. One of the people I admire the most in this business, her name is Harriet Salser. I don't know how old Harriet Salser is. She's about this big, and she's in her 70s. She is vivacious. She is a beautiful soul, and I adore her. And she talks about finding herself with 3 kids, and her husband had left her. She was a school teacher, and she was like, there's no way I can support 3 kids on my own on a school teacher's salary. And that's how she got introduced to the Juice Plus company. God brought Juice Plus into her life, and she talks about making a commitment that every day, she started out with either 2 cassettes or then it went to CDs, that she literally, before she went to work, would lay those cassettes and those CDs in the seat beside of her. And she says, I wouldn't allow myself to go home at night without giving away those, either those 2 CDs or those 2 cassette tapes, whichever they were. And she said, if I drove into my driveway and I looked over and I saw that one of those CDs were still laying in that seat, she said, I made myself put the car in reverse and drive back out. She then goes on to tell the story of going, she lives in Atlanta, going all the way to Hattiesburg, Mississippi, where she's from. And she rents a hotel room, has an event, spent weeks calling people, inviting them to this event, goes down there. And guess what? The only people in that room was her mom and her dad.
Mhm.
Imagine a single mom spending the money to get a hotel room, working to get people there, no one showing up. How many of us would have quit? She said she got in her car, cried half the way home. Then she got on the phone and she started calling everyone. She went ahead and did the event for her mom and dad, 3 of them in a hotel room, did the event, went back home, started calling all those people and saying, you missed a great event.
Mhm.
I'm going to go back in 2 weeks. Would you come? I missed you. You missed something that I know you would have wanted to hear. And went back down 2 weeks later to a packed room. That lady, I'm pretty sure, Brenda, isn't Dr. Odom under, I'm pretty sure he's under Harriet Sulzer, but I'm not for sure, but I know everyone in Atlanta pretty much is under Harriet Sulzer. The lady, you would never know it. She's the most godly woman, love her to death, but she makes millions every year.
And she's 81.
Is she 81? She looks, oh my gosh, she looks in her 70s and still doing events. I'll show up to events in Atlanta and she's there. I mean, are you willing to commit? Harriet Sulzer was willing to commit and look at the blessings. And if you guys would hear how she has blessed, yes, she makes a lot of money, but you should read her book and hear what she does and how she's used what God has blessed her with through this business, how she turns around and blesses other people. So the question is, are we going to give up when times get hard? This is not an easy business, but nothing worth getting is easy. And so I'm personally committing to really focusing on 2 new people every single day, 10 people a week. 10 people a week are you. Grab a piece of paper because here comes some stuff I want y'all to write down. But first and foremost, I want a yes or a no at the top of your page. Am I willing to commit? And I can hear, I know what you're saying. Well, I don't know. I couldn't find 2 new people a day. We're going to resolve that. We're going to talk about that.
Can I tell that story?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, Brenda's got another story from another legend in Juice Plus.
And he's actually our upline, Bob Burdick. Bob Burdick, who right now is 86 years old. I just looked that up too. But when they started, neither he nor his wife, Sue, have even a high school diploma. They had five sons they were raising in South Florida. And he wasn't just, had a really checkered past, actually had been in jail a couple of times. But when his wife heard about Juice Plus, he was very non-committal. I mean, he was very against it to begin with. But when he finally saw the vision, they committed. They had the CDs, and they committed, each one of them, to giving it to 2 people a day. And I just remember him saying one time that he had worked hard, labor all day long, came in, literally was too tired to even do more than take his boots off, laid down in bed, and immediately thought, I only gave out one of the CDs. And he got up and went to the 7-Eleven, because it was like after midnight. That was the only thing that was still open, and talked to that guy behind the counter and gave him the CD. And they're like, actually, they're the ones who Dr. Du Bois called him his dad, Bob Burdick was his daddy, even though he wasn't, well, I guess he was maybe the same age, but they're the ones who brought, you know, all of us into the business, and they're just outrageously wealthy and own literally everything.
So are you committed? 2 greats in the Juice Plus lineage of our company, and both were willing to commit like that. And it's that consistency of effort and the commitment that we make that this business is worth it. The people we know are worth it. And the people we don't know yet are worth it. You know, I feel like we've been exposed to an unbelievable product that changes lives. What are we going to do with it? Are we going to give up because it's too hard sometimes? Or are we going to push through and commit to just a simple act of connecting? We have it so much easier. We don't physically even have to give anything. We can immediately think of how many more people we can connect with because of technology today. All right, so here's what I want to share with you, these 4 C's. First and foremost, connect. And I'm sorry, not connect. I've got to pull this down. What's the first word up there? Collect. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
collect. I got too many C's going on. I loved this terminology, collecting friends. And there's a book I'm reading right now called Undistracted by Bob Goff. And he talks about collecting friends. I love this man. I absolutely love him. If you ever have a chance to read anything by Bob Goff, read it because you would love it. Love Does is one of the books he read. But the guy literally passes out his phone number to everybody. And he calls you and you can call him. I mean, he's like a New York Times bestseller several times over. But anyway, he talks about collecting friends. And that's what we want to do. And so what I want us to do, all of us, whether you have a memory jogger or not, we are going to create a new memory jogger over the next 3 weeks. And we are going to collect names who ultimately will become our friends. And we want at least, at a minimum, 100 names on a brand new memory jogger. All right, that's our goal, 100 names on a brand new memory jogger. And what we're going to do is collect friends. We're collecting new friends right now. The next thing is connect. And we're going to circle back around because I know you're thinking, well, where am I going to find all these people? We're going to get to it. The next thing we want to do is connect. So we collect these names. And then the next thing we got to do is how do we start connecting with them? And what does that look like? And those names then are going to go on a hot hands list. Now, I'm going to share with you my memory jogger and my hot hands list, but I'm going to share with you where my system was breaking down. So I want you to ask yourself, how well is your system working for you? 1, do you have a system? And number 2, how well is it working for you? So my system worked well, but I needed to take it up a notch if I'm going to commit to 2 new people, because it worked to a certain point and then it didn't. So I'm going to stop and I'm going to show you how my system works. Oh, see, here we go. This is what is bugging me. I can't find. Okay, Mara, I'm back to you. What happens is my shoot, okay, here we go. I found it. Okay, so here, I don't know, some of you use Teamsy. This is what I use to track all my connections with. So here's my hot hands list. Y'all can see that, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when I meet people, I begin to collect names. So here are, and then what the people who I'm most recently having in conversation with, they become my hot hands list. So I'm going to walk through my current hot hands list, and these are the people that I'm working on. Some people become customers like that or partners like that. Some people, it takes a while. It's a dripping process. So JJ, he takes care of our security system in our house. JJ was at our house. I found out how sick his wife is. His wife runs a couple of Fayette Piedmont, or not Fayette, Piedmont, I guess, health clinics around the South Side. And so the more I talked to him, we talked about Juice Plus. So he and I are in conversation right now about trying to get a Zoom with he and his wife to get them started. I'm hoping they'll actually become partners. Carol, and what I'm doing is I'm telling you where these people are coming from. So maybe it'll trigger some thoughts for y'all. Carol is a referral from my brand new customer, Penny Rue, who came from a referral from my best friend who I worked with back 30 years ago. So think about that. Even though I don't know Penny from Adam, and I certainly hadn't even talked to Carol yet, I'm getting a third generation referral. Because why? I reached out to somebody I worked with many years ago. Okay, so we start with where we are with the connections that we have, and we expand from those connections. So we're going to circle back around with that idea, but put that idea down. Kirsten Barnard, she is one of my daughter's friends' older sister. Okay, that's a second generation connection. Rocky, he services my HVA system. If someone comes in your house and you're giving them business, guess what? It's a reciprocal process. You definitely want to get those people. So Rocky, I never would have known him except that he came into my house. Celia Brown's husband poured the flooring in my garage. Suzanne Chambers, 30 years ago, I was in a Bible study with her. And that she came from my husband. She worked with my husband. So that's a second generation connection. Geraldine Donahue was one of my renters. Kathy Gray is a dear friend of mine who I'm trying to get her husband on the Perform. Sarah Hydorn, I went to elementary school with this girl, and she responded to a post I put on Instagram. Another referral from Penny Rue. You guys, don't underestimate educating your customers and connecting with your customers, because my customer, Penny Rue's daughter, knew that Juice Plus was better than Balance of Nature. And when her mom started saying she needed Balance of Nature, guess what? My customer said, oh, no, you need Juice Plus. And then Penny's loving it. Penny's only been on Juice Plus 2 weeks, and she goes, I got all these people saying that my skin looks so good. Do you think that's Juice Plus? I need to reach out to her and see if she wants to be on our call, our upcoming call. So Penny's now referred 2 people to me. Kyle Huckabee put in an HVA system in one of my rentals for me. Got talking to him. Casey Ingram, we did marriage mentoring for her and her husband. So the list goes on. This is somebody from my childhood, my best friend's best friend. This is a customer's next door neighbor. This is a friend of my parents' daughter's friend. Are you catching this? Are you seeing? These are 3 and 4 connections out. I don't even know who Heather Piper is. I got to go back up here and see why I'm going to get a hold of her. What do I say here? Discussed her jumping on Juice Plus, moving my, okay, now I know who this lady is. So we were on vacation in Maine, and I had a massage, got talking to this lady. She's a Young Living rep. And I told her, oh my gosh, you need to do Juice Plus along with that. Your clients need Juice Plus. Do you see what I'm, Krista Walker, Sydney, it's Sydney's coach, track coach from 6 years ago's wife, her son was sick, and I reached out to her. And so we're in, so do you see what I'm saying with this? We build on the connections that we have, and then we go out and get new connections. So I'm sorry. Okay. So let me go back to why I'm showing you this for a couple of reasons. So here's my my prospects. Here's all the people who I've ever talked to about Juice Plus that haven't become a customer yet. Look at that. That's embarrassing. So if you ever feel discouraged that people don't listen to you, just remember this list of mine. This is everyone I've talked to who haven't become a customer yet. How about that? Does that make you feel better? Okay, so that's my memory jogger, one of my memory joggers.
Elaine,
Yes,
may I ask the 3s and the 5s, what does that mean? Is that 3 people away or?
I don't even use that. I don't use that. It's if you want to kind of rank importance, but I don't really even use that. But
Elaine,
anyway,
I have a quick question, honey. Did
yes.
you make that list in your Teamsy under, did you just tag them as prospect customers?
Well, so if you want to
Or
look at,
under prospects? Okay.
yeah, well, this, if you really want to see my full-blown memory jogger, it all kind of dumped into prospects right here. So this is everything from my Instagram, Facebook, contacts. I mean, there's over 1,000.
Got it.
But then every time I talk to somebody about Juice Plus, they go on, this is more like my memory jogger, and then Hot Hands is who I'm going to work with this week.
Got it.
But
Thank
it's almost like, I hate to say this, but this has been my commitment. And I know I'm all over the place today. Forgive me, people, but I found that even though I had a Hot Hands list of who I wanted to talk to, I personally need to actually write it down. And I literally am taking 10 people and I'm writing down, who am I going to talk to this week? Because I personally have to check it off. And I think writing it down, looking at it on paper for me sinks it in versus just knowing it's here. I'll get to it when I have a minute to call somebody. So
is this an app, Elaine? Because I can't seem to find this. Is this
yes,
a good CRM tool?
it's a CRM, and it's called Teamzy, Teamzy.
Okay, I just couldn't find it.
So Teamzy may be for you, it may not, but here's what I'm showing you this for a reason, is that we have to have a system and we have to keep tweaking it. If we find ourselves not doing what we need to do for the success, we have to keep tweaking it. Is anybody else in a position like me? You have a system, but it's breaking down somewhere. Anybody else raise their hand? Yeah. Okay. So I've been doing this 23 years and it's almost like kids. It's almost like training kids. I'm training myself, that I realized a chore chart, a chore system for my kids only lasted about 3 to 6 months. And then I had to create a new one. So, or massage it or change it. And I think that's the case, that when we find that we get accustomed or immune to some way we're working, if we find ourselves not actually doing what we need to do, then we need to revise it. We need to tweak it, and we need to figure out what's going to make us be consistent with those 2 connections a day and then following up. Any thoughts or comments before I move on this topic? I know
Well,
I'm hit.
there's so much brain research when you were talking about writing it down. Brain research hits both sides of your brain. So anything you write down is going to be more powerful. And it's just like, I just immediately go back to teaching and even parenting, that whatever system you put in with your child, invariably, is if the reward system or whatever, it's only going to last for a certain amount of time. And then you're going to have to tweak it in some way. We're all like that. It gets, we get, what do they call it? I'm sorry. I can't even think of the phrase, but I think everything you're saying is so powerful, and it's, and just your examples, as successful as you've been and are, it's really powerful.
But it kind of goes back to, I realized that I'm not doing the 10 new connections a week. And we really need to do that. And even more importantly, follow up with the connections that we make.
And did you say something that when you were reading, was it from Bob, that when you're collecting, but every name in your phone book should be on a list somewhere, or every name in your phone?
Yes, we haven't got to that yet. So let me kind of see where, I'm sorry, folks. I know I've, here we go again. I hate it when I get doing this. I know I've kind of gone on a tangent, and I apologize for that. And I kind of got off track with our process, but maybe what we'll do, let me see my next slide here. Okay, you know what? We're going to stop, and we're going to pick up next week because it is 1 o'clock, and I don't want to cut us short on this process. And here's the challenge I'm going to shoot out to y'all this week. I want you guys to really take a look at your system. Who literally says, I have a system in place right now, whether it's working for you or not, I have a system. Raise your hand. Let's see. All right. So some people do, some people don't. Okay. So if you do not have a system, reach out to me, reach out to Brenda. Let's help you find a system. If you do have a system, I want you to ask yourself, I want you to take last week, and I want you to look at, did I connect with 10 people, new people last week, and introduce Juice Plus product or Juice Plus business to them? If you said yes, can anybody on here say, I reached out to 10 people and then I followed up with those 10 people? Raise your hand. Anybody? Okay, so it looks like maybe Karen. Karen is, no. Okay, okay. Well, she did good. So
I talked to probably 20 some people, but it's in here.
Yeah,
And
we had an event. We had a big event with Laura, so that we talked to people, but yeah.
So all the more reason to have a really good system when you have an event like that, to capture those connections and follow up and make them useful. Mm-hmm. So if you do have a system, if you don't have a system, connect with Brenda or myself or your upline. If you do have a system, I want you to really evaluate your system. Where is it breaking down? I realized through doing this where I was breaking down. I was breaking down in, I've got a good system, but I needed it to take it that one more step and literally not kind of scapegoat the planning for each week. Who am I going, what partners am I going to talk to this week? What customers am I going to talk to this week? What new prospective partners am I going to talk to? And what new prospect customers am I going to talk to? And literally wrote those on my calendar for this week because I'm not following through like I want to. So find the hole in your system if you have a system. And then focus on, how do I make it that tweak that it needs? So either let's get you a system or let's tweak our system so that we all can commit to that 10 connections a week so that we can realize the success that we know we're capable of. Mm-hmm. All right. And then next week, we're going to start unpacking, where do I collect these people? And then how do I connect with them? So we'll take it in deeper. All right. Thoughts or questions?
I would